Kasha, if anyone knows the Tered, they can tell me. But then we'll try to learn a little bit Rambam, Aristotle. Today, mamish interesting thing happened. Moifis, that I was discussing. My wife wants to go on a trip somewhere for an event, and I was saying that I don't have courage to go to Italy or wherever she wants to go. And my son said, that, "Yeah, Tati just wants to take a Rambam and Aristotle, and he's happy." So it's a good trip. You know where Aristotle is 3,000 years ago. A lot more interesting than Italy with a bunch of tourist traps.
Time machine.
So it's very interesting, right? You want to go to the Colosseum, there should be one more selfie. There's make AI selfie and shine. That's a different shiur, right? You know that shiur already, about the past. Who was here complaining that they don't have friends? Someone, Absid was here, Shabbos, complaining that he doesn't have friends. I told, look, I have a lot of friends. Not all of them are my friends, but some of them. You know the story with the Shagasari, that the swim shank fell on him, and he said that two people were not meichel him?
No, say.
I don't remember the details. The Shagasari was a shar fayid, right? He was choylek on everyone. He didn't have a problem with making his own pshat. And once he was learning at night, and the swim shank fell on him. And he said that why they fall on him, because he's krieg with all of them. Like one day they got there and they come. So, and he said that he tried to ask them all mechila. All of them were meichel besides for two. And he said which two achronim are still mad at him, and that's why he still has he didn't have a fish from that zet, because they're kabrunim, those people. So, anyways, Baruch Hashem, all of our people are meichel. Even if they're not meichel, then by the is they're meichel, like all the masses, right? You have to believe this. The Olam Emes, nobody here has a rabbi that there's a creek with, right? To you? If it's there's like a masa. This is not Chassidish Torah, though. There's a masa with. There's a lot of such stories. Like there's Rabbi Yaakov and Rabbi Naiv just like buried close to each other or something, or someone put them close to each other on the shelf, and he said that in Himmel they were already mashlim with each other.
Where that comes from?
Where?
Apparently, I heard a story that basically Yaakov died, and the only spot to bury him was near Ben Zayimshit. So, and nobody was in town or close enough to ask them what they should do. So you can't bury them next to each other.
Mm-hmm.
He said, I heard, there was like a legend going around that he said Shalom appeared before he died. Most of them made tshuva and Shemaim buried them together. Really, the point is that everyone it's just to bury the fight. That's the point. It's the perfect opportunity to bury the fight.
Interesting.
And he was
okay.
Right. That's what they said when I was asking him. Shalom tried to bury
Sounds good to me. And then but there's such a legends. There's many more such legends of people that like Olam Emes they were meichel. But the Nimshla of these legends, like all the legends about Olam Emes, everyone knows that nobody was actually here and came back. Like the Gemara says in Sechtes Marcus, right? Rav Yosef, Mam Salik la'ayla v'oved, right? Someone said halacha whoever said Chol Chai v'Kris Shaluki Niftim Da'Klus Reb Shimon. And Psamora said halacha is like that. And Rav Yosef said, what do you mean halacha? You went to him only. You saw it there passing that there's no kuris. What are you talking about? He said, what do you mean? I have a raya from a pusik. So what does this mean? You never heard from me this Gemara? Now I have a Gemara. I could show it to you. That's this now. You say just the Gemara. Very important. The Yid someone was by Mishabas. He said, so you have a pshat in the Torah that makes sense. Why didn't you tell it to everyone? Yeah. So maybe I should try. Takashut, everyone thinks that it doesn't make sense now. So, es steht in der Gemara so, Kol Chai v'Kris Shaluki, Makas Chov Gimel. Kol Chai v'Kris Shaluki niftim da Krisusam, shenema v'nikloch ichem. Anech div Reb Chanani ben Gamliel, sorry, Reb Chanani ben Gamliel. Was it Reb Chanani ben Gamliel gesucht. So, Rav came, Rav was the Rashiv, right? Rav said the name of Rav, Haloch Reb Chanani ben Gamliel. The halacha is, this is the Rambam about this, right? Haloch Reb Chanani ben Gamliel, that Kol Chai v'Kris Shaluki niftim da Krisusam, shenema from Kuris. Rav Yosef. Mam Salak la'ayla v'omar. So Rav Yosef doesn't understand Rav's shit. Rav said that halacha Rav Chananya. What do you mean? How do you know that the halacha Rav Chananya? Kuris is something that halacha means that lamas and you come to bed and mefid tzachazor, right? What? The? No, there's a Rambam here in Makkah and in Saita and another place that says that we don't call Indian yashbid a minna belvad. I know him by halacha keploini. There's a stira from the Rambam and Sanhedrin where paskins all the things you have to believe, but that's a different shmis. So, you understand the question? How do Rav Yosef had a good question. How do you tell me what Talucha? That's Shalach for Beis Shalmala. Beis Shalmala does whatever they want, or maybe they have Talucha, but how do you know? And Abai told him, Abai, as Abai was knowing to answer Rav Yosef's kashas, told him, Elo Rav Shima Levi. Rav Shima Levi, so Abai said, well, this is the first time we know what's going on in Himmel. Rav Shima Levi said there were three things that Beis Shalmata did, and Beis Shalmala were maskim. Famous Rav Shima Levi. Actually, Rav Shima Levi went to the Himmel, so it's Nishkanaya. But the Abai didn't think of this problem. Maybe he understood that Rav Shima Levi going to the Himmel the same way. He said, Elamai, Elekroy Kadashinan. We have a pray from the Pusik, we're Deutsch the Pusik. We have a Niklach Ichleinechot. It says a Pusik that they put it from Kuris. Why do I have to go? So, in other words, when I say Halacha, I just mean to say that I think that he's correct. The Pusik seems to agree with him. So, what do we learn from this? Very important, that's Yisod. Very important Yisod, and there's also Al Pi Sadis, but I'm going to tell you Al Pi Pshat, for the rationalists to agree. Everything that there's all the kind of stories, there's Chassidish stories, the Vilna Gaon, the Mincha Cheruf said a story when the Vilna Gaon came to Shemaim. They wanted to put him Ganem because he was misnagid. Mincha Cheruf said this story. The Mincha Salusi was a very rationalist guy. Until the Torah came and wrapped itself around him and said he learned the Torah, we don't let him put him in Ganem. And that's how he was saved from Ganem, because Baruch Hashem, the Vilna Gaon was Dam Tchocham, and that saved him for his Avaira of his Nagdis. And I mean, the Chassidim, the Reb Nussen had a Reb Nussen used yesterday. Reb Nussen from Breslev, Chassidim B'Taivis, nice Pavos, yeah. What's the funny? If I finish my Chassidish Maasas, then I'll tell you the serious tradition. Reb Nussen used yesterday. Reb Nussen said that Reb Nussen had a shver. I forgot his name. Rabbi Chiel, ich weiß nicht Geisen. Denkst du Geisen? Das geht ich noch kicken, das ist kein Gemur, darfst du wissen. Reb Nussen shver was a roof. It was a very famous roof. It was a Besnagid, Litvak. And the Reb Nachman told Reb Nussen, that Ishver is a tzaddik. And he looked at him like, a tzaddik? A Litvak. He said, okay, yeah, he does one Avaira, so he's a Besnagid, so he'll get one more patch and get him more than the other tzaddikim. Like, what's a tzaddik? A tzaddik doesn't get patched. Tzaddik also does Avairas. So he has one more Avaira, it doesn't become also tzaddik. Right? So there's a lot of this in that story. In any case, one of the thirds that's Nagal near 90 is that we see that it's an Avaira to be a Litvak. But son, come on, and every tzaddik does a virus. Doesn't passel you.
Always says back to
What's so funny? So the same way the Vilna going to the big Avaira. Like the brother sold Yosef, at least as big as an Avaira. Why are you laughing at me? You made a chayrim. The Vilna Gaon literally signed a chayrim on a bunch of Jews that you shouldn't marry them, you shouldn't do business with them. Hittir dumam, like the Baltania says. It's not a serious Avaira. I'm serious now. Not allowed to do that. Even if he was right, he had good criticism. I'm not saying so. Should have a chiva, say tell your Shalshida story that it's the other way around. What's the difference? You make a chayrim, it's not a mal mensch. You're not allowed to do such things. To do is Avaira. Baltania, this is the same Avaira as Rav Menavot, the same Avaira as Yosef and his brothers. Old problems in his chinam. That's what it's talking about. Nothing new. Same problem of Ezra, of the Prishim, a lot of people. Now, whatever. This is gonna get us to your shalas. Anyways, just wait. So, back to the story. So I'm trying to explain you something. So, what is the point of these stories? All these stories, like how did he know? Like if you're a Litvak, like very cute, Reb Chaim Eliezer Shapiro made up a story. Like who told him? Oh, he said that the Baditch Veruf said. Okay, then who told the Baditch Veruf? Doesn't solve anything. Let's do a towel over there. Might help. Thank you. Teretz is like this. Man salek la'ile, ele krui kadorshinon. In other words, what does it mean? Just like when it says in the Gemara, the chayiv b'din shemayim. What does chayiv b'din shemayim mean? Who cares? Chayiv b'din odom, I understand. It means the beis din is going to come to your bank account and take out the money. Chayiv b'din shemayim means what? It means that we think that really you're at fault. It's the opposite than people think. B'din shemayim means human reason, even more than odom. Because din odom is like we're limited by the Torah, we're limited by procedural considerations, all kind of legal things. But din shemayim means, if you ask me, you should pay.
It does great work in torts, by the way.
What?
It does very good work in torts.
That? Chayav b'din shemaim? Oh, because of all the grammars.
You have to draw these lines.
Yeah.
Secular law, either it overcompensates for it or just under for that. Because it doesn't have this idea of just That
really you should, but
right.
so if you want to be Yotzi the Shemaim, you should pay.
Right.
Clearly. Right? If you're Elechid, you Chayav Din Shemaim. So, right? You're Chayav Din Shemaim. Very serious thing. So how do we know that's Din Shemaim? Because Shemaim is just a word for what we think is the real truth. And the Olam Hazeh, we're limited. Even if there's a truth, you can't always do it. Sometimes you have to do bad things because they're worth it and so on. But in Shemaim, they don't. That's where they don't have these problems. They could give a tzaddik punishment, right? In Olam Hazeh have a problem. We can't really punish tzaddikim. Hashem only punishes tzaddikim in Olam Hazeh, but that's a different story. But we have a problem. If you're a tzaddik, you can't. If a Talmid Chacham sins, we don't give him a nidui because we have to protect the Talmid Chacham and so on, right? But it's such halacha, official halacha. It says in Shulchan Aruch, protect the Talmid Chacham. If you're Talmid Chacham, we don't make a nidui against you. Hunting tzad, meaning it's only making nidui on Talmid Chacham, but that's different. If you're in Balabus, then we don't do anything against you. If you're Talmid Chacham, Kitzer. I have a theory. I was thinking about this today. That's why. I have a theory about that. Why it is. I realized that there's a reason. If we'll get to the nice of Senes Chinam, I'll explain you. So it's a nice table. This big table. So the Kitzer. This is halachish gegen the mazikim. The Kitzer. You don't know, the Rav Shiruf said, why do we say Chad Gadi? Why do we say Chad Gadi after the Seider? Olachash, kegen the mazikim. So, Kitzur Hamas, so how do we know what was in Himmel? All these stories, all these fantasies, all these myths about someone went to the Himmel and he saw and so on. What it means to say is that, in this world we can't say these things, and of course we have to respect the Vilna and so on, but really he deserves patch. But Lamas is Talmid Chacham, so. And that's a true thing. Being a Talmid Chacham is a real thing. It protects you also in Din Shemayim. Same thing with the Gemara. This is a normal thing. We say all these things that we say. The Ben Shalmat doesn't mean the Ben Shalmat. Sometimes often Ben Shalmat does things that the Ben Shalmat is not maskim. I know many of them. Not only even the things that something the Ben Shalmat shouldn't have done at all. Something they should do, but Ben Shalmat is not maskim. Just like, for example, anytime, very important. Anytime you punish a kid that's between 13 and 20, Ben Shalmat says, "Are you crazy? The guy's a little baby." Right? It says in the Gemara, Ben Shalmal is only managed from 20. What does that mean? It means that be real. Well, your Rebbe, there's Shlung, a 14-year kid, the guy came out of his pampers yesterday. Doesn't know anything. Tried to teach him something, maybe. But in Ben Shalmata, say that we have to, maybe that's chinuch, maybe we have to, some level of legal responsibility from when you're 13. It seems unreasonable to me, but in any case, according to the Jewish law, it's like that in some sense. I'm pretty sure not in all senses, of course, but in some senses. Everyone knows that it's not in all senses, right? And in Choshen Mishpat, we don't actually consider 13 to be of age. But in any case, that's another idea of the same idea, right? So in the same thing, when I tell you that what's in Himmel, I mean to say the truth. But leider, in this world, people are limited by all kinds of limitations, and we can't have both. Sometimes we're stuck, and then we have to take shaychad. Shaychad meaning the good kind of shaychad, right? I have to respect you because Lamas, you're still my father, or whatever. All kinds of things like that. So in the same way, when people say, in Himmel they would make shulim, right? So if someone, or other times, sometimes people don't, even when people are still alive, or even without the Himmel, they say, if the Rebbe would have seen now, of course he would be moed. He would not be moed. But why wouldn't he be moed? Because he would be wrong. But of course the Rebbe really is right. The real Rebbe is right. So in Himmel, he chapped already the emes. If you're so sure about the truth.
Literally, the Gemara says he's easy. It's the same.
Yeah, it's really like that. Of course, it wasn't surprised.
That's all like that.
Right, very good.
So he's saying, just quickly to push up on this. So is he saying that he thinks that Malchus is the type of thing that should get rid of Karas, just like Be'emes, that's what it should do? Is that what is he? What am I trying to say in this particular Gemara?
Yeah, it's a question of belief, right? Like the Rambam reframes all these questions in questions of belief, and then he has a different question for you, Machriya, and questions of belief. Maybe you're allowed to do whatever you want. But the question is, what does it mean to say that what does it mean to say that you're going to live? Just to be clear, nobody ever expected everyone to drop dead at whichever age Kudus is supposed to kill you. That's not how it really works, ever. So, what does it mean? It means that we believe that the Rambam says this in Moed Nevarchim when he talks about the levels of Anshim. It says that Avayda Sheyesh from Kudus means it's an Avayda, and we also believe that it's really, really, really big Avayda. That's what it says. I'm sorry for being cynical, but if you don't believe me, you can bring his Lashon and you'll see. Chelik beis.
Or we don't. We
Chelik
just
gimel.
really don't need to do it. That's not our.
It means it's really bad. You really deserve
There's
kudos
two
for this.
reasons. One because it's the bad.
You deserve it. You deserve kudos. I'm not doing anything to you, right? It's really funny. You eat on Yom Kippur, eat on Michal Shabbat, the Bezin throws you off the roof. If you eat on Yom Kippur, Bezin says you're a really, really, really evil guy. Not evil, I don't know, out of our community, however you want to call it. And that's all. And then they move on. But they give you malchus. Now, Hanania says, right, if they have items, they give you malchus. If Hanani says, now that they have malchus, that cancels out the kudos. There's a whole logic to it, but that's more like the different sheath. As my mitzvah pshetel was about this.
Saying, how does that, like, let's say, equate to, let's say, Averis that you do get malchus to?
No, you get this Averis that have malchus without kudos.
But that we don't say that it's really, really evil.
No, right, exactly, because we don't say that you have kudos. The only real difference, that's the whole nafkamina lamasa of the kudos, is that it's really, really bad. You're exactly. You deserve kudos.
No, but I think we was asking, so then the really, really bad one gets malchus, and the really, really not so bad one also gets malchus. Like,
Exactly.
Why is that?
Exactly.
One of them.
One deserves kudos, and if he wouldn't get malchus, he would get kudos. He actually would. Would he? I think that he should. I don't know if he would. He should. Maybe the Eibush Nachashbain is that's his toilet, right? That's why you have to teach your daughter Torah, because otherwise she's going to realize that it doesn't really work. You have to know that it's his toilet. But the Maaseh, right? The Maaseh, you deserve it. For this thing, you deserve. Are you going to actually die? God has his cheshbainis. Like he says, that is yeah. So, is that the same thing. Every Yid has to have a Rebbe. Every Yid has a lot of Rebbes. Now the problem, all of us have problems with our Rebbes that they don't agree with everything we say. Unfortunately, that's because they're in Olam Hazeh, they're limited. But really, the Rebbe in Olam Haba was Moeda. How did I start saying this?
This is full circle now.
Yeah, but I was saying something about the. I was saying something about something. You don't remember.
This was supposed to lead into the question you said.
The question of. Okay, this is a master. So everyone has to have a Rebbe. I don't remember why I wanted to talk about this. Everyone has to have a Rebbe, and then a little bit the Embed Rebbe is Maida. Sometimes I already told you the master. Sometimes I had a Rebbe that came to me in a dream. And I asked him something that he hacks against very much, and I do. And he said, "What are you, crazy? Of course you should do it." So I really held like that. He doesn't have the Levish to understand. So now, what did we learn from this? I don't know. I wanted to say something.
Getting to the kasha?
No, you said it's going to
I have a question, but why did I somehow remind myself of a story? Okay. So now I have a big kasha that's important kasha, very important kasha on reality. And if someone has a teretz, they can tell me. My kasha, I like all my kashas, it's like a whole sheet to explain the kasha really. But my kasha is basically why nobody is normal without being meshugaas. Very simple kasha. I'm going to try to say it without too many names, so it shouldn't be too much lashon hara. Right? In other words, everyone is moide that, the kasha, the teretz is somewhat in the kasha if I explain it this way. Everyone is moide that the Welt is meshugaas. Right? Everyone is moide. In all kinds of ways, but everyone is moide in some way or another. The default is not to be a normal person. Maskem? Everyone is maskem?
Mushal.
No, there is a getchka of a well-adjusted person.
Yeah, that's Nachan Shigun, right?
Yeah.
Before the question.
No, we don't have to define, oh gosh, no, we don't.
Why?
According, because I said, whatever your definition of the Ma'al is, nobody is the Ma'al.
That Yemi headphones is part of this well-adjusted.
Maybe.
You're not going to find
I don't mean
that. That feels the whole world normal?
No.
Give me an example of what you mean, please.
Give me an example. One example is that everyone thinks that you should be well-adjusted. The definition of meshugaas is whatever everyone else says. That's one example. Very good example. Most people nowadays are extremely relativists and think that the definition of good, of healthy, for example, mentally healthy, spiritually healthy, is whatever you think, whatever you like, or whatever your neighbors like, which still goes back to people's arbitrary preferences. That's what most people actually think. Some people have a God who is also one of the things that people that like things, but doesn't save them from the main problem, right?
Did you write an article about this?
Yeah, about the one part of it.
Just the ethics part. Right?
Yeah, but the masculine, most people think that good means whatever I want. And some people are very religious, so they think that it's not only them, there's also a getchke called a God that wants things, and good is whatever he wants, or at least also whatever he wants, depends on how from he is. Right? That's a shiguan. It's crazy. Everyone just thinks that this is the default. The default, some weirdos think that there's beauty in the world. There's really objective beauty, or objective goodness, or objective health, or anything. Right? But everyone agrees, whatever floats your boat. Even boats don't just float arbitrarily. There's good boats and bad boats. But I don't know what this mushtal is supposed to say. Okay? This is a shiguan gomer. What's this?
Whatever floats your boat, it's not true.
A lot of things that float your boat, but not anything.
Whatever floats your boat is an objective question.
You gotta make a good boat, man. There's good boats and bad boats. Maskim, that's one meshugaas. Okay, another meshugaas is that, I'll tell you much, the other meshugaas. Okay, now I'm not going to give you a few I have a rule that we're not allowed to give examples because we only end up talking about the examples. And we should only talk about examples, but that's another shmiz. Now, wait, I'm going way too fast. So listen, I have a kasha. Why is nobody mimal without being meshiga? So the mushal, there's a few people, like I mentioned before. Last week I gave a different mushal. There's a few people that are not against the meshiga. They do think that there's somehow live as if there are good things and bad things in the world for real. There are such people. Those people are neo-Nazis, most of them. I know them. Almost all of them think, like, my Torah about the goyle chused, right? I have a big problem that I like a lot of thinkers, a bunch of people that try to explain all kinds of nice things, like to help me understand the Rambam and all the tzaddikim, because they tell us that Aristotle and Plato weren't totally crazy. They have some points. And then a few weeks later I found out that the guy is literally a Nazi, not even a neo-Nazi. Why? Because he got into the Messiah. What the Messiah from Agoy? It says a pusik, Shamra nafshi me goy lechused. What's wrong with the Goya Litvak? Because Litva goes with the halacha. The halacha says Esav son of Yaakov. So he has to follow the halacha. Chassid, it's halacha. Right? Traditional guy is a problem. I'm not saying that the not traditional guy is not a different problem. As Ochel Son Yisrael, but he has a different excuse. I'm just saying that there's a problem here, right? This guy is ready normal.
This is a new Torah now. Goyish Litvax.
What else did he
I go is
The fact
Litvak
we
is
explained a few weeks ago is definitely universal.
exactly. Litvak is a type. It's not not talking about chas of any Litvaks, any Yidden. Who's a Litvish guy? No, I'm talking about trad goyim, really. Traditional goyim are mostly real anti-Semites. The only thing is, like a different trad guy said, that Yid said this, that what's the definition of anti-Semite? Someone that hates Jews more than is appropriate. Maybe from a daf. So if the guy hates Jews but not more than he needs, then he's not a malagoy, no problem. I could deal with him. It's part of right. The whole all of ethics is about measure, correct measure. Maybe there's a correct measure of hating Jews. Most Jews are hating them too much, right? But a guy has to do a little less. But the kid said, that's the problem. So you understand the problem, and this happens to me every time. Like I have a lot of criticism of a lot of things. It's gonna happen to you with me too. Don't worry. You think that like that guy I told you said that I have a good pshat in the Torah, and why don't I tell it to anyone? Turns out that I also have a lot of craziness, at least according to him. I think that I'm right, probably. But a lot of problems, a lot of meshugaas, a lot of nonsense, a lot of naughtiness. That's the reality. Every time I find someone, I'm like, wow, this guy, that's the zach. He sent me a video clip, and you see he's explaining himself well, and he's clear, and he's not beating around the bush, and he's not bluffing us like some people think it's a big mitzvah to bluff all day. He's not doing a bluffing thing. Very nice. And then I look at his next video, and he's talking about going to Uman for Rosh Hashanah. Like Shaykhs, you have to go to Uman. You already explained me that, let's be real, and the Torah doesn't say anything about not eating the Haim Shech Shairim. The Torah says you should eat kosher. Pretty sure if you eat kosher, you're about to eat. It doesn't say anything about a Haim Shech. I know that you're pro Haim Shech Shairim, for it's a different mitzvah, but Nish Mitzvah Kashrus. And And then the next video is like, the Heiliger Rebbe said, if you don't go to Uman, you don't have a tikkun. Like, hello, does that say in the Torah? Where do you find that? Actually, I know of there's more than one person that this applies to. This is very weird. What's going on?
Maybe I think your example last week was very good. The conflict. I don't know if you don't want to say it.
It was really a story from last week. I hate the fast.
I know, but it was, I think it brought up the point of very, very big.
I'll tell you the mushal that Eli says, or you can tell it. Last week I was in about people that are in business understand the mushal. Oh, everyone's in business here. Everyone in my shiur has to be in business, otherwise, come was the Rebbe tun nicht machen business. Mach auch business. Don't worry. Try. So last week I said a masa by the unrecorded shiur that I went to a conference for teaching us how to steal money from rich people. Chas v'sholem. You know, the Roof said there has good news and bad news. Good news is that there's enough money for all the kimcha de pesach. The bad news is that it's in the wrong people's pockets. Right? So, I was by this conference for all the people whose job is to get the money from one pocket to the right pocket, from the wrong pocket to the right pocket.
Oh my God.
And it's an important job. You have to be mizaki and you have to do a correct allocation of capital, one of the important functions of society. But I'm being very vague, right? Schnorring, fundraising. Okay, so now, what's the problem with this conference? Just like many self-help conference or whatever you want to call it that you're going to and others. What's the big problem with them? That they're all evil. Why are they evil? Because they're about means and not about ends, right? Why are they evil? Because, right, you know this. This is Rebbe McIntyre's drusha about social engineering and about social science and about business consulting and all of that. If you go to, I told you about goals. I talked about goals.
Yeah.
Any self-help person that you go to is going to explain you that there's a way to be efficient. You got to have goals and you got to follow them and all of that. And you have to achieve your goals and count and smart. Drush is smart. Gedenkshin is drush. But the nafkamina of the whole of Shetayvus is that this is the logic of the Shu'im. What do I mean Shu'im? That it's all about how to achieve your goal. It doesn't tell you anything about what your goal should be, right? So come to us and like very explicitly that the guy that stood up, for example, by that camera, the guy stood up, look, I don't care if you're raising money for left to it, or for square, or for satmar, or for tzahal. The same rules apply to everyone, right? Wait, what's going on here? Seriously? Nobody actually said that, but there's a subtext that says all of this, right? What do you mean you don't care? If someone is here raising money for Al-Qaeda, we should throw him out. We shouldn't even teach him the tricks. Because he's really evil. What's going on? But there's a real problem because the tricks, not only the tricks, the ethics, right? The kind of person that you become, a person that teaches you how to be efficient. I'm an efficient person. Then like Hannah Arendt said, right? You can be like Eichmann also, is a pretty efficient guy. Right? Extremely efficient. Maybe there's some virtue in that itself, but you could be a very efficient Holocaust organizer. And you'll be doing your job, you'll following all Taylor's principles of modern management.
I don't understand what the
Okay.
problem is. You're just in the wrong school. You're in the wrong event. If you want to
I have news for you. There isn't another event.
That's your fault. You didn't make
It's not my fault. No. But you see, there's something evil about this, right? You have to imagine that in the olden days, people that actually knew such a skill, if I know the skill, I know a skill, I'm Dale Carnegie, I know the skill, how to get anything out of anyone. The Sanhedrin would make a big chayrim and only teach this secret to people that are 35 years old, and we bring 3 character witnesses that you're not going to use this for bad purposes, right? Isn't that obvious? These are really powerful tools, right? Manipulation tools, right? You can convince anyone of anything. You're a salesperson, right? We should not allow anyone to become a salesperson. There should be a board, some kind of control over this. We should teach it only to the really good people, like to the really vetted people that already know that they have good ends. Because otherwise, what's going on, right? And just to be clear, every time, of course, everyone says this, right? We said this drush about psychology mentazach. We're only learning tools. It's not really true. It becomes just like everyone knows about the Goodwin principle, right? There's something called the Goodwin principle. Anything measured becomes a target, right? Wow, he doesn't talk about it in his course? Mamash, being funny. I don't think he does. It's missing a very important thing, right? Everyone knows anything measured becomes the target. The medium becomes the message. Always, right? This is the reality, because like Aristotle taught us, you become what you do. You don't become what you believe in. Unless belief is a kind of doing, like you say Shema Yisrael twice a day. Okay. But you become what you do, right? If you work on means all day, you're working on becoming efficient, you're going to become efficient. You're not going to become good. And you're all day talking about this, and you're never talking about becoming good, you're not going to become good. Actually, we become manipulative. The definition of manipulation is I'm trying to get something from you, which is not the good thing itself is not good. And it's not really good for you, right? It's good for me, or it's good for some third purpose. That's the definition. It's a big problem, this. I think it's a really big problem. That's one problem. There's a bigger problem, right? The masking that this is the problem? Or there's something else? He's not masking. Ari's not masking.
No, I hear it now.
Ari's not masking. This is the real problem. I really think that
Not
if...
the problem saying that.
I actually know someone. I have news for you. I know some. I have dealt in a third-hand way with someone that went to a certain course, the same course that you went to. And Master Shaw, there's a Yid, he stole $1 million from a Yid, playing a gambit $1 million. I know exactly how. There was a trick, an excuse. He came in the Torah, gesucht as Teufels lebal chav, mokim shechav lachrini, whatever. I got to stick Torah. He had why he's allowed to. The Master is a playing a grave ganav. Again, I don't know. I heard one side of the story. Maybe he's not, but sound like that to me. And just deposited. The guy gave him a check. He deposited twice. Whatever. Playing. What he did was for sure ganav. Maybe the gang gerecht. He owed him. He owes him $1 million. I don't know. The Master. That's what happened. So, and that Yid, he said, he came to him. He said, "What do you learn?" I remember, what do you mean? I went to this course. They taught me how to be very efficient, and he was very into it. Like, I'm very good at this, and so on. And if not for that course, it would be less of a ganav. I hope. Maybe it didn't make a difference. Because all these things turn out some horrible people, and it's by design. Like it's not. There's a real problem. That's one thing. Another thing is that people that have luck to not really be able.
It also lets you
No.
pursue it and not in the pursuit of evil. I don't have to pursue being a gun if I can just pursue being efficient, right? And have it steal along the way.
Meaning he doesn't realize that he's a ganav.
He doesn't have to. He doesn't have to confront the fact that he's learning how to be a gun.
Yeah, he's not teaching you how to be a ganav. He's teaching you something, a tool. He's teaching you how to pick locks.
I know what you're doing.
It's like teaching how to pick locks. I teach you how to pick locks. Are you going to use it to pick the bank, or are you going to use it to pick your baby's house when she gets locked out? I don't care. I don't care. I'm not about anything, right?
Isn't that the worst thing, though?
What?
Because then I'm saying
Exactly. You're an amoral person.
Yeah.
So this teaching is an amoral teaching. It
Right.
really is.
Right.
I think it's a real problem. I really think that in some kind of ideal universe with the correct chinuch structure,
Could sneak the 80% evil
yeah, if
right
there would
under the
be.
guard's noses.
I really think that if it would be like a really good, like a Plato's, fantasies
This
of.
really applies to
of the-
everything in the whole world.
No,
Like,
wait.
1 second. Don't sell lighters because maybe someone's going
No.
to have
Wait. This is a nice. Kodim call.
Don't let anyone drive the
Wait.
baby, run people over,
Let's move it. Let's wait. This is all a mushal from Akashi. You have to remember, these are all things that everyone here is supposed to agree
You
with.
hear what I'm asking you?
Yeah, I hear your question, and it's part of the brainwashing that you got from capitalism. Now, wait, but you have to remember that let's try to focus, right? I'm trying to get somewhere. If you're not asking with part of Dagdomus, you have to talk about that at a different time, because all these things everyone here agrees with already. Just giving you as an example. At least I should tell you an example of something. So this is one of the examples of how you can't be meshugaas without being a mal, how you can't be mal without meshugaas. Okay, this is evil. And in Plato's ideal educational society, all of these tools would be hidden, just like lockpicking. I mean, nowadays also you can learn lockpicking on the internet, but just like creating nuclear weapons, for some tools we have enough cycle to keep them locked up only for people that we think are already good, right? This is true, definitely true for management, for human management. Becoming a good rabbi, becoming a good anything. If it's just like good in the sense of being efficient, of being a good tool, it's really dangerous and should only be taught to people that are already proven themselves to be good. And even after that, many of them are going to use it for evil. But this is why we have all these secrets. There's all these ideas of Torah, of secret societies. There's a reason for that. It's not crazy. Now, second problem is, the deeper problem is that it also doesn't work, in my opinion. It doesn't work. At least if you have an neshama, it doesn't work, Baruch Hashem. Any Yid that was born with a neshama, in my opinion, doesn't actually, I don't know anyone. It's kind of cute. I know many people, not a lot, not enough, but like maybe I know 100 people. I don't really know any of them that manage their life that way. Any of the good people that I know. I know some people that manage to manage like their business that way, also in like a much more sporadic way than you think. But I don't know anyone that manages life that way.
It's It reminded me of.
I don't know anyone.
Of that. Someone told me that it says,
No.
Okay, and everything in between is just lecha, not the v'necha.
Which in between? The
It's
niglas?
not nisted and it's not nigla, it's probably just for you. Don't tell it to anybody else.
So. Yeah, so, you have what I'm saying. Do you know anyone that actually, like, I have a real question. Every self-help book in the world says have a goal and make a New Year's make a New Year's resolution. Do you know anyone that actually succeeded with his New Year's resolution? With his goal? Smart one? Ask Rabbi, what's his name, if he knows anyone. I am sort of very suspicious of this. No, I'll explain you why. I don't know anyone that it worked for. Doesn't work for me in the same way, in that way. In some way it does work, I'll explain you. I don't know anyone. Why? If there's someone that it works for him, I think you should stay away from him. Because they're a psychopath. Now, why doesn't it work? Because human beings aren't actually the kind of thing, and we're not actually machines. We're not actually efficient causes. Machine and efficient cause is the same definition, literally, metaphysically. Where are things that only do ends. That's the idea of a human being. A human being, for anything to make sense. People talk about meaning. You know what meaning is? Meaning means doing something that has a goal. Not a goal, a fake goal, a real goal, right? The end. You call them the same. They're the same word. There's no real difference between the words. When I say a goal, I mean something that in some sense isn't itself good. Or at least you very clearly see how it leads to something that is really good. But even then, what you're going to be doing is the goodness of that thing. So maybe it's secondarily good. I don't think everything is finally good. Even if it's secondarily good, what you're doing is that thing and not something else. Like it says in the Gemara, and Tzarash says, do things for themselves. Right? If what you do is not good, it's only leading to something good, you, as a human being, will not succeed to do it. Unless you would turn yourself into a machine. Most of us have a hard time turning ourselves into machines. Some people are successful at that, and those are the CEOs. But aside from that, most people have a really hard time, and even the people that do it well, is because, for example, right, there's a very big difference between someone who is in service of capitalism and someone who is in service of providing for his wife and children. Providing for your wife and children is a very good end. It's not the final end. You don't go to Gan Eden for that. You only go to Gan Eden for what you do with that. But going to the Holy Rambam at least. But it's a good thing. And in order to do that, I have to get a job. I have to do my job well. No problem. You're doing all this well. It's all part of being a person that's providing for his family, a good father, a good husband, a good part of society. I want to provide a mikveh for my medrash, whatever it is that you're providing. You're part of that. The moment that it's separated from that, I think that's like the definition of evil. The definition of becoming a machine, which doesn't have a goal, and that's just what evil is. That's a Shin Dalet, right? So,
meaning the moment that you're not providing and you're what?
That your story. What your story is not. It's not embedded into a bigger story. That's I'm a good person, and I'm providing for my family. For example, I'm just running this system as efficiently as possible. That's what I think. And therefore, I think that that's why people complain that they have no meaning. And your Zaida doesn't understand what you mean when you say I don't have meaning in my job, right? What do you mean I don't have meaning? You gotta have a job. He does have meaning in his job. His meaning is to come home to his wife and bring her a check. That's a great meaning. Meaning just means there's a story that ends somewhere. Meaning is not some fancy feeling. I don't know what people think meaning means. Right? But you don't have meaning because your job is set up in a way that you can't really do it if you care about coming home to your wife at night. Many jobs are sort of set up in that way. Or at least it's very hard. You have to, very good. Now you can understand why you have to be meshugaas. It's very hard to be a good, whatever it is.
You definitely can't be the typical person at the job.
Yeah. Most people in New York City or whatever, in the workplace, that's not their story of themselves. Most of them. I'm not talking about the Heimish Yidden, the Heilige Yidden, I'm talking about the Welt. Most of them are not like that, and it's set up for people, like the language that they talk and the way to become successful within any society is to talk their language and to work in their concepts. Their concepts are machine concepts, not human concepts. And that's why it's very hard to do it if you're a human being. If you have a neshama left, it's very hard for you to live in that world. And now, this is the meshugaas, the maskim. So what was I saying?
When you say neshama, the whole
now,
what are you referring to?
I don't know. Now, I do know, but you're training me. I'm far enough off my track. So,
You mentioned a few
an
times.
neshama is a person that is a human being. That's what an
As
neshama.
opposed
That he
to-
didn't forget. Some people forgot that they're human beings and became machines. That's the difference. And a machine doesn't have a neshama. Either a mensch hat a neshama. And some people don't have a neshama. They're very happy being machines. I'm pretty sure that nobody that listens to my sheet is happy with that. So I don't have to talk about that person. But Now, so this is a problem. I want to tell you this: you can't live like this. I'm telling nobody could live like. If you manage to live for a long time like that, I don't want to know about you. You're really weird. Or either you're weird. I think you're weird. Besides for being evil.
Full machine or full?
Full machine. Like if you go to the shiur and they tell you, look, you got to make yourself goals every day and every month and every chodesh and KPIs and BCGs and whatever they call it today, the Rosh Hashanah. I'm telling you, I don't want to be your friend, and I'm not friend of any of those people. Nobody that I know that's my friend is like that. Now, it's the same thing, by the way, it's the same thing in Avodas Hashem. Yiddishkeit. You should have a goal. You should learn 5 blat every day. Promise you, nobody ever became a lamdan like that. I'm not saying you shouldn't learn 5 blat every day. It's like I'm not saying you shouldn't have a goal, how much money or how much sales or whatever. I'm explaining to you, if that becomes your life, that's the way you run, that's the engine, that's the gas that runs you. I don't know, and there's such people, and they're nuts, in my opinion. Okay?
Polite way to say is neurodivergent.
No, I don't think that's just the way. I don't know. Neurodivergent is just a neutral thing. No, there's people that that's you're not. What you're talking about is not that. I don't think. I'm talking about normal people. If you're neurodivergent, then
I think that's not a large part of.
Maybe. I'm not sure. No, I think that's a different thing because I understand that that's different. That's a person that he has a tanig and it's a making lists and check marks. Different. Someone doesn't like that, right? And then that guy has a virtue of making checks, Excel sheets. He really loves it. Okay, it's a different thing. He's like some beauty in it. No, I'm serious. There is some beauty in it, like math, like whatever it is, like the backsiness of the world. The world is pretty backsy. It's not true that I'm not saying you shouldn't be backsy. You should only be around. That's not the point. But what I'm saying is that this is a problem, and you can't live like this.
The part of the
No.
was another guy.
I forgot. Yeah, I'm getting to that part. Don't worry. But there's too many people have with questions. In that conference, I was sitting there, and I don't feel comfortable. I need all these tools. I consider myself a good person that's allowed to use all the tools. Maybe I'm wrong. I consider myself that way. But also, it feels I don't know I can't use them if I don't believe in them. See, that's what I mean when I say I have an neshama. Have a neshama means that I have very hard time submitting to things that I don't believe in. Sometimes I just call it ego, but it's not ego. It's really having a neshama. If I go to someone and this guy says, you have to beg this person, you have to pretend to be below him, because that's how he'll do you a favor. Unless you could explain to me how that person is really deserves it, or how and somehow there's some virtue in doing this. Otherwise, I'm just not going to do it. Love
In
it.
this book on sales, in the beginning of the book, he basically says, chapter 1 is basically that, explaining why you have to believe in what you sell.
Yeah.
Chapter 2 is, let's say you don't believe, how to believe.
Okay. Yeah. Most people don't believe.
Well, the matter, then you're not going to get what you want to get. What you need to get.
Wait. Gaat er met na story.
We can down the shumas or on and down weg.
You see this, but you realize there's something crazy here. We have to solve this problem. My biggest belief is that we could solve these problems. We don't have to be stuck. We don't have to be ozvavs and not get anything done because of this. I have an shoma, therefore I can't work. No, nonsense. You could work, of course. You have to figure out how it's going to work. There's a way. That's my biggest belief, my biggest hope, and I think it's true. There's a way. But we have to understand what the way is. Now, I am very uncomfortable. I can't do that. It's very hard. I just can't do it. The reality, I can't do it. And to the extent I could do it, it's because I'm corrupted. But I think that people that can do it are the good people. That's my opinion. Now, Now, at that thing, I'm telling you a story. Now we have to find a way. This is not normal. It's not normal that everyone has to become a human being in order to be successful. That's crazy. Only reason I want to be successful is because I want to be a successful human being. Tell me no. Be mevater for your whole life, right? Just to be clear. For your whole life, be mevater on being a human being. Because let's be real. Yeah, I know. Like you go, okay, I was a rebellious, I don't know if you call it rebellious, but like, and I used to have tanas, the yeshiva learns too slow, too fast, too low, too high, whatever it is. And I used to go to my rabbis, like what kind of and none of them ever said anything different. I mean, depending on their mood. But for the most part, you go to people and they understand. They say, look, yeah, you're right. Some of them are just lying. They don't think I'm right. Hello, get out of my life, you're a liar. But some of them really think that. And then he says, but look, how does it go? There's always a push-off. Like, you're a bucher, you're in yeshiva, You have to stell sich to the yeshiva until you get married, and you'll go in koil, you'll be able to do whatever you want. So then you go in koil, and they tell you the same thing until, I don't know when you're able to actually live. But, true story. Now, I always told him, thank you so much for your advice, and then I woke up in the next morning and I didn't do it. I wanted to do it, just didn't work, because nebuch I have an neshama, and I can't. If you would try to convince me how this, they're so stupid, these people. They think, even the ones that are really like this, okay, they're stuck in the same place. The ones that are just manipulators are really dumb. Because, again, maybe they're manipulators because they know that this is the best manipulation, but if like someone comes to you and says, look, yeah, the system is corrupt. I know the system is corrupt, but look, you want to win, right? Try to win the system. You just corrupted a guy morally. You did the worst thing. There's one guy that at least is not corrupt. He doesn't just want to succeed. He just doesn't just want to win. He said, "Oh, let's just win." What do you mean? If you would be sincere, you would say, "No, even a better manipulator would try to convince me that the system is correct." Then you should believe in it. Okay, then I can understand. Of course, maybe he knows that there's no good arguments or he has no way to explain it to me. Then he's stuck. But this is a big problem. Ask him. It doesn't work. So the kid said there was one yid over there that said a drusha that I understood, that made sense to me. The only problem is that his drusha was toit meshugaas. That's why the kid, one yid stood up over there, and besides for all the ites that he said, he also said that the beis you should know that fundraising is a mitzvah. It's not a mitzvah to make a lot of money. Not a mitzvah to gefels for the gevirim. It's not a mitzvah to nothing. Mitzvah is to do it. If this is your job, whoever you decided it's your mitzvah, it's a mitzvah. Therefore, if you don't make money, if you do make money, if you do succeed, if you don't succeed, it doesn't matter. You should wake up every day, say and go do your mitzvah. That's what this guy said. Now, I telling you the reality. This guy, I felt good by his drusha, because I know how to do things like that. I know how to do mitzvahs. Mitzvah by mitzvah, I mean things that are good, correct things. I know how to do correct things. It's hard. Yeah, I know that. Sometimes it's hard to do the good thing. I could work with that. It's difficult. It's hard to do the good thing. We'll work on it. Sometimes we'll succeed. Sometimes we won't succeed. Sometimes we'll be dejected. We'll be frustrated. But I know how to live with that. Everyone else says you just have to win. I don't know how to live with that. And they also say it's hard, right? But you have to be misgaber. What does that even mean? I don't know how that looks. Work on yourself to not take yourself seriously, to be a better slave for something else. Like what? You know, if you really force me, I'll be forced, no problem. I want to have money, my mortgage will, whatever, I want to have rent, pay the rent, I'll go do something for that. I'm not saying I'm above that, but you're really giving me chizik like to be that? That doesn't make any sense to me. So this guy's only drush that actually made sense. He was talking about a certain virtue. You're a schnader, go and be a good schnader, not about believing in it, right? It's not even believing it. Just do it. It's a mitzvah side that I sell, whatever mitzvah it is, enjoy. Mitzad shiny, you must come that this guy is only normal drusha. You understand this? Everyone knows how to do that. Everyone knows. Do the correct thing. Who told you this is your tafkid? Maybe someone else. No problem. You walk today, you're doing this. Now, mitzad shiny, this guy's drusha was whacked. Like, seriously? What do you mean? My job is to make money. It's not to just knock at people's doors and get thrown out. Like, that's not the mitzvah. It's also nuts, right? It's not to do things that don't have a goal. He's also in some way living without a goal, right? Because I'm just doing things. What do you mean, just doing things? You want to win, right? And then, Hashem will send you the money. No, Hashem doesn't send nobody money. I don't know anyone that sent money. I told you the drusha already, right? Anyone that tells you a drusha you should rely on Hashem sending you money, ask him how he's going to send it. What's his post office address? Because I don't know anyone that Hashem sent money yet in my life. I know so many people that go around. I listened to last week somewhere. I was in the grocery and I went to the grocery. I filled up my cart. I had no idea how to pay. And Reibster had geholfen. I've borrowed money on the register. You could have thought of that before. You're just a low life. Reibster had geholfen. Someone went by and said, you really don't have to pay? Okay, and he gave me the money. Because some Yid gave you the money. Reibster didn't give you nothing. Reibster schickt das. Reibster schickt alles. Reibster schickt doch wisse Arbeit. No difference. What do you mean the Reibster give you money? You're just drying me up. What's it got to do? So you have a picture. Your picture of the reality is totally not in sync with how God actually is. Right? You believe in some acausal world where things have nothing to do with their effects. Of course they do. Why did you go to the grocery? Why did you fill up your cart? Why didn't you just sit home and wait for the fridge to fill up? I mean, what's going on? Who are you fooling over here? Oh, you have to do that. Okay, you also have to go work and make, or maybe your plan is to borrow money from people. No problem. Mooch off people. Say, my life, I like to mooch off people and so on, and I don't have patience to work. I'll just say it till him all day, medrash, and wait for people to give me money. No problem. That's your plan for life. Your plan is not Hashem. Hashem get nicht duaran. Right? Not only you're talking nonsense. Like Hashem kaparan. What do you mean Hashem? How is this more Hashem than anyone that just works? And Hashem sends him money like that. That person is actually doing a mitzvah. He's not just mooching off people. Maybe it's not such a big avayr. Whatever, figure it out.
No, the guy who mooches off other people is being meteach ba'adam. The other guy, the job is being meteach b'Hashem.
I think so. Yeah. I mean, again, these are like if you want to like really get into chasavus, it's internal states, or if you want to explain what it means. No problem. But you're just your words don't make any sense. You're saying words that you yourself don't know what they mean. Hashem is going to help. What does that mean? Hashem is going to help. Everyone knows that everything is Hashem. You don't have to. People. I think the reason people are real. People say this all the time because they don't really believe in Hashem. So they have to say it the whole time. It's like, I'm doing it, but Hashem, what does that even mean? So, Bekitze, you understand how everyone understands why what this guy said was total nonsense. But that's the only why they said something normal. So now here's my kasha. Why can't there be a normal person that can explain you that you're a schnorid, there's virtues of a schnorid. Schnorid has to, I'll tell you one of the virtues of a schnorid. Not because it happens to be that it helps you make money also. If you're a schnorid, you should brush your shoes. You know why? Because it's not respectful. You go to a person, you ask for money, and you're like, I'm a schnorid, so I'm allowed to have ripped shoes. It's not nice, right? People don't like it. It's right? Right? That's the virtue of a schnorid. A schnorid has to dress the part. Maskim? You're maskim to this? That would be a very reasonable drusha. Part of a midas toivus, there's the correct midah, has to be a schnorid. Schnorid's got to wear a normal rekel, and he has to make his pious and comb his beard. Otherwise, you come to someone, a guy is just giving you money to get you out of his face because you're ugly. True story. Right? So, now, this is the same actual factual advice than the other guy that says, look, you're going to go to the Gvir, look, you have stuff in Gefällen, you're a better mensch, he doesn't like people that are chnyakish. Some people do like dafke chnyakish, okay, so dress up chnyakish. But go be a normal person, figure it out. Yeah, it's cost money to buy a new rekel, but you're going to make more money, it's worth it. No problem. That's the manipulative way of saying the drusha. You can say the same as the drusha as if it's a mitzvah. And it's not a mitzvah. Because this is a good. Now, is this the final good? No. The end is to give money, and then the money to go to yeshiva, and then someone in the yeshiva is going to, somehow it's going to end up in Torah this money. I don't know how. But, you understand my point? Why is the only normal guy a nutcase?
Even like speaking well. It's like one way is to speak well, to like manipulate, and one is to speak well because you should present yourself well.
Exactly. My job is to be my job is to be magid shiur, and everyone has to do their masamat b'emina. My masamat b'emina is if I prepare a shiur, and I don't have to follow the shiur. I don't hold that you have to follow but I did prepare a shiur today. It's over here. If you don't believe me, I even have notes. It's not what I said, but you have to appear. It's masamat b'emina, right? Oh no, you have to prepare so people should be impressed. My job is not to impress people. I mean, it's to impress people, but that's just what it is. It's not just, right? If I can impress you in a fake way, I'm doing my job wrongly. If I impress you in the correct way, because I did the correct preparation, and I got a nice room, so to impress you, all of that, no problem. That's part of the job, doing it correctly. Why the only people that even go out of this totally manipulative frame are the ones that tell you that God somehow is doing it directly. Chapman Kasha? It's a very good example of the kasha, and there's many hundreds of other examples that are the same kasha. All boils down to the kasha, why everyone normal is toit meshugaas. Is it, what's my other example?
Something with the rabbis.
What about rabbis?
He started with Nachman, that's what he started with Nachman.
No, but the same thing. Is it normal to this is a good example. I can get that one I a little bit understand. It's easier to explain why. But is it normal to like, that every person that already understands that, that you don't have to worship whoever was the einkel of whoever first guy that was einkel of another guy, is also believes in some dead guy in Ukraine? Most of them do. Like shayches. Of course, that's easier to explain. But is it normal that everyone is it normal to that every teenager should spend like 7 years of their life watching TikTok? Because that's contemporary chinuch. The other chinuch is that TikTok was created directly by that's actually true. But the other chinuch is that the whole internet was created directly by the Sitra Achra, so that we should have giyas, b'nai yeshivas or something. Now, this guy's a little normal.
I think
You have kids, you should put a filter on their phone, no question, on their whatever. Nobody ever argues with. I mean, people don't live like that, but that's because they're nuts, or they don't have a choice, whatever it is. Nuts, but their society is nuts. Then the only guy that's normal is like, what? You know that Skelener Rebbe gave the best derusha by City Field, and everyone was laughing at him. Skelener Rebbe said, got up.
Yeah.
And 15, was this 20 years ago almost?
Yeah.
Got up and said, what's the difference between a mensch and a behemoth? This is a shtickle zoya that he said.
Yeah.
A mensch doesn't rhyme emnen. Rhyme literally says this is how you get your neshama. A behemoth kicked her up. A mensch kicked her off. So if you walk around like this, you're a behemoth. Now he said the most normal thing, but what does it mean? Therefore, hello, what? Got my problem? Why is only normal people meshuga?
No, but people also do think that there's like, back to this well-adjusted thing. I think people do very often think that, well-adjusted person. Obviously, if you say you shouldn't go on social media at all, you must be taking meshuga. 30 minutes a day is whatever.
If you can do that, no problem.
Yeah, but
that's not really thinking the problem through.
I think that's a getchka of well-adjusted.
You should also.
You have to do.
Yeah. Like of course, like
to some extent.
yeah, exactly. Everything like I can engage with on perfect terms, and like of course we can like craft this like perfect human experience that doesn't fall.
I agree with that. That's another meshugaas, right?
So
That's another thing. The normal people.
No, maybe
you're
you should
mad.
just throw your phone in the garbage.
You're mad at modern Orthodox people. Modern Orthodox people are. There's one, but both sides are meshuga. That's what I'm trying to get at. Modern Orthodox have a different meshugaas. They just don't believe in the Yetzer Hara. They just don't believe in him. Now, Haredish people don't believe in the Yetzer Tov. But both of them are meshuga. Like you go to. I just reread because of this thing that I did last week. I reread some discussion that I had about with modern Orthodox lady that wrote a whole book about like the correct sex education that we should give our kids, and she basically told him is the boat. Like, this is a really powerful destructive force, also for good, but just no, it's like holy, and if you do it correctly, yeah, thank you very much. You just missed the problem, right? This is a thing that is really, really worth. You should respect. She just doesn't have any respect for this Yetzer Hara. No respect. Like it's really could make a mabel. No, Chas v'sholem, we shouldn't be Puritan. We shouldn't teach our kids because then they're gonna hate their body. So we should teach them that there's a right. I agreed with the conclusion, but there's just like a certain disconnect with reality, right? Chas v'sholem, whatever. I'm not going to get into the details of this, right? But you're right. That's another. No, she's right in a certain sense. These people are right. He's like normal, very good. The other people are crazy because their solutions don't actually solve the problems, and also they're crazy because they don't believe in the Yetzer Tov. They don't believe in any kind of derech hamitz and all kind of meshugaas that we said last week and so on. But the other people are also crazy. They're just living in a fantasy universe, which is like. Maybe it's true in like 3 blocks of Teaneck for people between 30 and 40 or something. But other than that, it's not the real world, right? So what's going on? Why is everyone meshuga? Same kasha. So you like the same thing. You meet this guy and like, yeah, he's tzach. We should become his chassidim. Then you see that the guy is some other way. He's totally missed the boat.
I think this is how it started.
Not only missed the boat, he's
I think this is how it started because Nachman gives this thing against the Chacham. This Chacham is retarded. Like, why can't he just say?
It's the same thing. It's the same thing. The same thing. Teretz of the Alazah Kasha says the Derech HaMitzvah. It's just a formulation. The teretz of all these kashas is that it's true, by the theory that I said today. But it's a better question than an answer. In other words, it's not a question; it's like a request, right? It's more of a request than a question. How do you say more of it? Yeah, it's more of a request than a question, meaning to say that I think that there is a way to do all of this, at least to some extent. I also do think they have to be meshuga. In reality, unfortunately, why? I don't think you have to be meshuga. I don't think we should say this drusha. Shouldn't be meshuga. But I think that there's a reason why everyone that's normal little is meshuga. And the reason is that in this world, it's very, very hard, at least for one person, maybe, but for one person, it's very hard to make anything, to write anything without tipping over the boat, right? So, for example, you're fine. If we're, I mean, I could talk about like mass education as one way in which this happens. I think it also happens with people by themselves. If you have to go against the reality, like against the reality of society, it seems to me that it's very hard to do that without some very strong backbone, without some very strong support. And for this reason, I think that
or alternative social infrastructure.
And full social infrastructure, but nobody actually has that. I mean, nobody that I know. I think that you need like Archimedes' like pole. Like you need something to actually take you out of the default, and that thing is by definition meshuga. This is really what this discussion of the Rambam. This is really my response to this. The Rambam has the discussion of going in the desert and becoming a desert father or mother, and leaving society. And the Rambam is very against it. He said this is not the ideal, but he also agrees that it's sometimes needed. And we have to understand that going to the desert is an avaira. It's not like the Rambam explicitly expresses it this way. Leaving society is a sin. Why is it a sin? Because the correct way of being a human being is to live within a society. And even more than that, the correct way of being a human being is to live within your society. That is the correct way, you could say healthy way, but that's the correct way. That's how God made people. That's the nature of humans. The nature of humans is not to do lech lecho. That's a very nice romantic drasha. The nature of humans is to stay where they are. I don't know, stay where they are. The nature of humans is to live within the society you are. That's the nature of humans. Now, if you're in a bad, now this also means that if you're in a bad society, you're going to be bad. You are going to be bad. If anyone tells you they're going to be good in a bad society, like this is the main contention of modern orthodoxy, that's nonsense. You could be the good person of that society. Every society has an ideal of a good person. You could be a good person relative to that society, or not relative, like according to what that society defines as a good person. But you can't be a good person, a really good person. As if you agree that whatever the definition of this society for a good person is incomplete, at least you can't really be more than that. Yeah, very good. You can't be that. Okay? In America, there's something called being a good person. By the way, that includes going to church, so you could switch synagogue for church. It doesn't make a big difference. At least it used to include. I don't know if it still does. And modern Orthodox or modern anything guy, it doesn't matter, is a guy that does that. No problem, you're a very good American Jew. No problem. But if you think that being a Jew, the claim of being a Jew is that the whole shtickle Torah calls achness, being an American good guy, the best guy in America is still not good enough. If you believe that, I don't know if you believe that. I think that as a Jew you have to believe that. Well, you have to, enough to nothing. But you should. Then, or especially if you believe that, like I seem to believe, based on whatever nonsense I read on the internet. But if you believe that in 2025 there is no such a thing as being a good person in America, America doesn't have an ideal of good people, and there are no good people in America. As Americans, there are good people. But then you have to believe that you have to go out of that. And then you have to say, you have to do a very big, bad thing, which is be against your society. It's a big, huge sin. And just doing that makes you meshuga. Or there's like good ways of doing it. Like saying, look, I have a Rebbe, I have a Torah, this absolute truth. What are you talking about? Since there's no such a thing, you're living in Adamad. No, this is what you have to say. You have to say, look, we are the only people in history to know the truth. In Lakewood, the 30 people that live here, we are the only ones. It was given to us. I don't even know how we discovered it. And just to be clear, not to the Chassidim in Borough Park, not to the guys in Five Towns, not to the guys in Freehold. We try to teach them. But it was given to us, the whole, complete, full truth. 100% mezukak. Distilled. Pure distilled. Now, that is it. Anything else is nonsense. Even the people that try to go there, they realize themselves that it's nonsense. And because we have one Michiganer that came back and said that it's nonsense, and it proves to us. And this is the one that we're going to create a whole thing. We're going to teach basically only this. We're not going to teach anything else. Just be clear, we're not going to teach Torah, we're not going to teach Science, we're not going to teach nothing. We're going to teach this. One thing. We have received for free the extreme, absolute truth, including how to tie your shoelaces. It's as true as the existence of God. Everything is the absolute truth. And this is going to be what we do. This is all we do. We spend our days and nights saying this. And then, if you do that for 70 years, no, if you do that, whatever, for as long as it takes to raise a generation, then, less than 70 years, only like 10, 15 years, then you end up with people that have a, how do we call it, like an anchor outside of America. This is what is needed. This is just the creating of the anchor. It's not the actual good thing, in my opinion. Of course, most people are messed up. It's not the actual good thing. But this is all creating like a separate pole, like the multipolar world that some people are about. Like you have to have another pole. Otherwise, everything you do, even the Yiddishkeit that you do, is according to the side of America. Remember, there's Shivim Surim, there's the side of America. He actually conquered like 15 Surim, and he's 15 of them. And, you know, right? You know what their names are also. Anyways, and the side of America, he's telling all Mapshutim is from him. If you want to be a little bit outside of that, like not in Gulas, right? You want, because this Gulas means you're living within a bad society. You want to not be in Gulas. You have to have a really strong anchor. You have to something to actually give you. You need some place to stand outside of it. How do you stand outside the world? You need a lever long enough, right, to stand outside the world. How do you do that? You have to be Meshuga. I don't know of anyone that succeeded without being Meshuga. Therefore, I had a friend that told me that he became a Biyana Chosid. Kligging a man. I don't think his family is Biyan. Became a Biyana Chosid. So I asked him, Rebbe Levin, like, what's the angesehen? What do you see in the Holy Biyan that this is like the thing? Like, if you become a Breslever, a Chabadske, okay, I see this guy, he was in all the places, he became a Biyana. Shaykh's Biyan. So he told me, look, I don't know if this was an excuse, but this is what he said, and it's just a good idea. He said, I looked in Biyan, he has some family, of course, he's like close to it socially somehow, that's why he's able to. He said, look, in Biyan, there's the least Chassidus that there's, I need a Chassidus. I want to be Chassidish. I need a place for my children, I need a shul to daven in, a Chassidish shul, and so on. I need to be Chassidish. I looked around all the Chassidus, and where do you have to do the least? In Biyan, you have to come every Shul you have to come to Rishalayim to the Rebbe, otherwise you're also the Biyana Chosid. I don't think you have to do anything else, basically. They don't have, just, nobody looks what menhugim you do, what clothes you wear, nothing. Perfect, I'm a Biyana. It's so hard for me to travel 2 days a year from Bnei Brak to Rishalayim. I'll travel, no problem. I'm a Biyana Chosid. I wear the Biyana Beketche. I get into a Biyana Chosid. What's the name, Shul? Since we have to be Meshuga, we should do like Rav Nachman. We should try to find the least Meshuga thing that can take us out of reality. Right? So the trick is to find something that's less destructive, right? If you're like, I'm Meshuga, I'm going to be in a cult, like we're going to do everything, whatever. But it's not necessary. I was reading a whole thing about the Amish yesterday. It's not actually necessary to be entirely Meshuga. You don't read, because you only need one thing outside. Like, you need one point, some anchoring point.
Anywhere else.
You need some anywhere else, but it has to be real and somewhere else. It can't be the American version of Judaism, because then it's not anything. You need something to say, in this we think entirely different than everyone. And everyone is just brainwashed, nebuch, there's nobody to talk to, it's totally messed up. You need one thing. You need one, for now. Avram Avri is not the lechatchil situation. But since we're in the world of Meshuga, you need one thing that is really crazy. So everyone has to choose their poison, I think. I don't know if this is really a choice that you could make, because it has to be real. But my ideal would be, you have to choose it. That's why Lemushla, a lot of like these Breslev, for example, it's not such a bad poison. I mean, sometimes it is. But like, okay, I have this one thing. This is what really separates me from everyone. I think that this is Mashiach. That's it. Something with Lubavitch. The Lubavitch has too many meshugaas, but they don't need most of them. 1 or 2 of them is enough. And this allows them to do a lot of things because they're free. Now you're free. Now, maybe I'll decide to do most of the things like everyone else. But I'm free. Right? Where about? What did he say?
You're not going to have cops, make sure everyone keeps Shabbos, and then everyone can think whatever they want to think.
Yeah, it's the opposite. Yeah, in a very messed up way. It's that. It's very the opposite of that. This pickle is that we have to have something that's different, something very far, and then we can hold on to that. I think that just being Jewish is more than enough. That's really what I think. But that only works. But that only works for people that realize how crazy it is to be Jewish.
Right, it doesn't work for
if you only like talk with Jews your whole life in a serious way. I'm not saying if you in Tinek you also talk with, everyone talks with Goyim, but like seriously, like if you only talk about God with Jews, then you don't realize how crazy Jews are. You got to talk about the true things with other people, if you could, and then you realize that just being a Jew, like I'm committed to Judaism, this is Meshuga. I don't care. We are the guys that put on the film twice, two films, the town film also twice a day or whatever, once a day. That's where we are. Why? Ich weiß nicht. We're the Pura Adima people. That's all. That's who we are. Now, everything else could make sense. That's why we have to have Pura Adima. Because that's like keeping your head above the water. There's still a Pura Adima. It's saving us. It's going to purify us from all the shtism. That's the thing.
And even Rambam says it doesn't have a tam.
Yeah,
Can't be a Litvak though, because he doesn't wear the Rebbeinu Tanzil.
Yeah, no, it's not one. Litvak Nebuch thinks that that's true.
No,
if you think that it's true, then
what you're beginning. No, I figured out what you.
No, but he's Meshuggah for that. It's again too much Meshuggah.
You started off that you were going to go on vacation and the Masa, the Rambam, and what's it called? This is
Yeah,
right?
yeah. The main thing is that this is what I
You
think.
can go much further when you have.
And
that.
you have to understand that it's wrong. This is all wrong. We shouldn't be Meshuggah. Even
Like
just
a Nazir, we're like a Nazir.
yeah, even just exactly. By the way, it's a great thing if someone could. I've tried this thing. Like I know people have tried this, and I've tried this myself in certain things. It's very important. Yeah, it's a chet. It's a chet. It's 100% a chet. You're not allowed to do it. If the world would be good, or to the extent that the world is good, you're not allowed to. It makes you a bad person, and at least in the sense of an unbalanced person, which is the definition of bad. It makes you a bad person. But if you are in a situation where you're trying to bring in some kind of truth, some kind of pole, like base of reality that is not in this one, you're going to have to do something to get yourself out. Just to be clear, how do you get yourself out of society? It's very hard. In America, it's extremely hard because it's such a free society. In Russia, it was easy to be a Yid. People think in America it's hard to be a Yid. In Russia, it's easy. No, people think that in America it's easy to be a Yid when Russia was hard. It's the opposite. In Russia, you just have to make a bris for your son and you're a Yid. Because this is like anti-communism, whatever the communist ideal of atheism. Right? In America, no, you make a bris. So everyone has their meshugaas. You have your meshugaas. Then you're not a Yid. You're not kol olam kelim evrechad. You're just, everyone is crazy. We're crazy in this way. You have to have some point that's outside of that. This is why liberalism is, like some people said, is the most dangerous thing for religion. Because it subsumes it. It says, look, we're all crazy. Well, let's be crazy that way. No problem. Maybe in part of Yishuv Olam. But in some sense, in your mind, there has to be something. No, not really. And this is because this is the reality. I think this is an empirical explanation. This is why the only people that actually have the courage, like, for example, okay, everyone agrees, I don't know if everyone agrees, I don't agree, but most people that I spoke to agree that it doesn't make any sense to rent a hall for $30,000 and make a wedding for your son that's 17 or 18. It makes no sense. He doesn't deserve it. Didn't do nothing and didn't even meet his kala yet. Like, why would he get a $30,000 wedding? Everyone agrees.
Although it's only 30, but yeah.
No, just the wall. The other parts.
Just the wall, yeah.
Everyone agrees that this is crazy. It's interesting that the only guy that actually just, that it doesn't cost anything to not do it. Actually, you save a lot of money. It's crazy how little, actually, not even social pressure. Most social pressure is imagined. I've tried it out, I'm telling you. You could just do it. Instead of renting a hall, call everyone here and make your wedding. People did it in COVID, remember? It was so easy.
Yeah.
It just happened.
No, because there's no social pressure.
The social pressure is overrated. You could just do it. It's your choice. You're the guy. There's two people left. It's okay. Two mechutunim have to be on the same page. It's so hard to find one more. Everyone agrees that it's Meshuggah, right? The Baba can platzen. I promise you can do it.
Not the Baba, the Kala.
All of these things together are not worth anything. The reason people don't do it, I'm telling you the truth. The only guy that actually does it is a Meshuggah that believes that worships a dead grave in Ukraine. How does it work? Why? Because he actually has something to tell them, I'm not one of these people. My religion is a different religion. You know that, or whatever, Chazal doesn't say that. But really, what makes me take is something else. Okay, now, maybe he also is moida, sometimes the Kala is making a problem. I'm not saying he's not going to have this problem. Everyone else, you have to understand the reason everyone else does not, because they have nothing in the name of which to really go against. Like, you have to remember that society, when people say it's society, it's not really society, it's their God. Right? If you say, how do I decide how to do anything? How does anyone? By the way, it's very hard. Most of the things you delegate to society, and you're correct for doing that. That's how the world should work. How do you know how a wedding looks? Oh, let's sit down and learn how to. Let's learn Lichas Ishus and find out. You're crazy. You're not going to find anything out there, right?
See, when you open up, you say, "What's in the suin?" Anything, whatever people do,
it sort of says that. Yeah, that's lumdus already. You're turning me back. But you can't do that. So what are you going to do, right? You don't really have. Or you could say, I'm sitting down myself. I think it should be cheaper. By the way, I think it's wrong. I think a wedding should be expensive. I don't think it should be cheap. I'm asking with this whole shit. But that's a different thing. But now you understand that there's a real issue because you have no other God. You have no God but what everyone else does. You could complain against your God. Everyone complains that they're not the God. Nobody is happy with their God. That's why he's a God. So you should be able be against you, right? Otherwise, you'll just be you. But that's why, if the only way that, if it's true, assuming that it's true that it's crazy, the only way to act in the name of something else is to actually have something else. And you really have to have something else. How would you act in the name of something else if you don't have something else? This is the basic empirical reason why the only God that actually does something different is the guy with a different God. Chas v'shmir doesn't have a different God. You understand my mushal?
Different middle ground, at least.
Yeah, different malach. Different sar. Verstehst du, was ich so? And the same for everything. The only people that could resist the internet, or could resist could resist birth control, are the people that believe that God himself told them to have a bunch of babies. Shaykhis. Doesn't matter. It has to be something different. God never said that, by the way. But it has to be something. Otherwise, you're not going to have what in the name of who to be misnagid. You have to have something in the name of something to live. And it's the real problem. And the Yeshia is going to be when we make our own everything. But whatever, that's just fantasy from Mashiach. But that would be, it's true. It's important to have that ideal, to realize that it's not an ideal situation to be against society, because it's very destructive. You become a shigga. And also you become even more mashigga because of that, because then you lose everything, and it's a problem. But
just to be clear, when the Rambam says you should go to the midbar, you mean this mushal that you're talking about?
the Rambam means literally going to the midbar.
No, but it doesn't mean this mushal that you're saying.
The Rambam literally
Like
means going to the midbar.
Become this like.
Of course. No, not a weirdo. All Jews have, like the Chazon Ish famously told the Satmar Rebbe, he was 100% right. Jews have made this collective, not Jews, the what's called Orthodox, whatever you want to call them, Haredi Jews, have made this choice to go in the midbar. The literal desert doesn't make a difference. They actually did this, and it's a big sin that makes them crazy. They're all nuts, and they're all evil, in some sense, because of that. Because you get unbalanced, and when you're unbalanced, a lot of things, everything is open in some sense. Right?
No, but also within that world, you don't have a view from anywhere else, right?
Yeah, okay. Then it's not even. Then it's the opposite, right? You need to be a little fried, not to be an element.
You're not answering the question.
No, I'm diagnosing the problem.
Diagnosing the problem still.
I don't have. This is the answer is an empirical question. I asked why I can't find any normal Rebbe. The Teretz says that if it would be normal, it wouldn't be I wouldn't want to be my Rebbe, because normal means evil. So therefore, you have to be evil a little bit. And my solution, my like halfway joke solution for today is that you should try to find the least destructive meshugaas to save you. And my proposal is that we should just be Jewish, and it's more than enough meshuga. We don't realize how meshuga it is.
Well, that was last week's thing also.
It's connected to last week's thing. It's more than enough meshuga to just not eat pork. That's meshuga enough, but you should realize that it's meshuga. It's not normal. Like everyone has their dietary preferences, and I have the kosher preference. No, it's not a dietary preference to eat kosher. Okay, it's a meshugaas. The Chabaskis are good at saying this, right? We don't have no dietary preference. It's a meshugaas. We believe that our God came 5,000 years ago, whenever, to a mountain and told us, "Please, my dear Jews, don't eat pork." Don't ask me why. It doesn't make any sense. I promise you, it makes no sense. If anyone tells you that it makes sense, he's lying. That's what you have to believe, and that's more than enough to be meshuga. Now you could be friends with a guy. You could do everything. It doesn't matter. Not going to hurt you because you're already totally out of it. Understand? Or since in reality maybe it's not enough, so everyone should find some other thing for them personally that works. But I think that this would be a proposal.
Actually, it's so crazy. It's actually hard to be friends with a guy for that reason. Just saying.
Well, because you're meshugas, you don't eat pork.
Just even somewhat honest with yourself that, well, you either could be two-faced. You pretend you don't put on film in the morning. That's one option. You can't do it. All you put on film, like being the person who puts on film in the morning. You just can't say it.
No, I think the ideal way of saying it is this, like where everyone has their weird things and we have this weird thing.
But it's weird. You're saying
we have too many.
You also sit in the room and not eating them. You also go out. You don't tell them they go in that mincha sugar. Not going that mincha.
Oh, that's a problem because it's discrimination if only they eat daven mincha and they're going to get a break.
No, you can't say because it's so crazy. I don't even know how to begin.
What's crazy about davening mincha?
They're going to pray. It's prayer.
No, it's
nobody does this.
We have. I work in an entirely, pretty much 80% secular workplace. There's nothing weirder than mincha.
Right.
That, by the way, if you want to know
I don't tell you.
Literally, you see a bunch of people coming into the conference
You
room.
think it's weird, right?
That's what it's like. These people literally on their computers 10 feet away on there, feet to Zalman, whispering to the wall. 10 minutes, I come out like nothing happened.
So by me, we do it.
Nothing happened. I
We do
walk
less
right
of an
out.
avera. My mincha is less of an avera. My mincha is in a firm. It's the partners are firm guys. It's much less of an avera.
Partners also flimmer guys.
No, but there's
it's still the shit.
There's not so many going around.
It's even worse. It's even worse.
You would say, if they would believe that they're talking to God is one thing, but they're not even talking to God, they're just davening mincha.
By the way, no, see, that's the thing. If you daven Yechidus, this whole thing gets lost.
Yeah.
It's very normal to whisper a prayer in the corner. When you go into the conversation, man, we're not even going slow. We're not even, it doesn't look like we take it seriously at all. Yeah, no. Out loud, everybody. Oh, quiet.
No, but the shiur that you were saying,
keeps
the
you tethered, it
way
does,
that
it reminds you,
we're already very
You're
concerned.
gone.
We're very concerned before mincha, way before mincha. All of the
Yeah, but today I'm speaking about this specific kind of Ketzonis about being outside society, which is really the root of all evil, because you remember that Shulam, all the Malas Hamidas, all the character virtues are really about creating a society that works. That's their end. Then that society has to do something, but that's what it's all about. And cutting yourself off society is the worst thing you could do. You deserve death for that. Like,
That's what should be a Zionist. That's why that's what
Zionists have this fantasy of creating society. Problem is that their society is just a lick at all the messed upness that you could find in Russia and in America and in England and everywhere.
The early
But the problem with the Haraidish guy that
all your headaches. You bring
the
your
problem
headaches.
with the
the
Haraidish guy
bayah.
that comes in is he
The
doesn't
fourth
feel
aliyah. The
the.
fourth aliyah this time.
He doesn't. It's like what you're saying. He doesn't feel the
That's
weirdness. There's the 2-3 guys that are really hardcore that come in that don't care, right, at all, right? They don't feel the eyes looking at them and they're doing it anyway, right? These guys have nothing to gain from it. They come in because
If you think that it's normal.
and he doesn't understand it. He looks like a freak. Me, I go every day. I know. I've been a freak. Yeah, too bad. I'm here. I'm whispering to the wall. You don't like it. I don't know. I'm out of my mind. Yeah, it works.
They start making society, and then once they're somewhat successful, then all the leeches come and start selling soda cans in Tel Aviv. Like there was 1 billion soda cans sold in Tel Aviv, hacking whatever. Like so all the racist things comes on is because like no, we're trying to make a good society. Not really.
No, I agree. In other words, but the reality is, firstly, just to be a Zionist is crazy. I don't know if you know that. It still is, I think. Maybe people were reminded that it's a bittul meshugaas. Why it's meshugaas, I don't know, because the Goyim are anti-Semites. I don't care why. It's meshugaas. No, ask it.
I think it's hypocritical to live in America and be a Zionist. I think that.
No, it's meshugaas. I'm not saying it. It's outside.
Why is it meshugaas if you live there?
Because there was all this work went in. Okay, I don't know. I'm not talking about Zionism. There was all the, whatever. There was all this work that went in to try to make it like a normal idea, but never really managed to become a normal idea. Like every nation has its place, and you have to go to some Palestinians like, hello, this is weird. Nobody ever did this.
It's normal when it.
I mean, it's only not meshugaas like the Free African State. Like it's not really normal.
Right? Are you saying
What happened in 1776?
No,
are you saying
there's actually no successful people that actually just picked themselves up from one place and went to the other place and claiming that it's their homeland and made a homeland there. Nobody ever did that besides for the Jews. I'm not saying they're wrong for it, doing it. I'm just saying they're the only people that ever did
It's normal
that.
when it just is that way, but it's not normal to make it be that way.
Very good. As part of the project, that's why there's a Yid, I have to stop my video, but there's a Yid that claims that the fact that people are not Zionists in Israel is the biggest success of Zionism. Because we're just here. What do you mean? Why are we here? I don't know. My father was here. My grandfather was here. My great-grandfather, I'm not sure. I don't know. I don't remember anymore. But that's it. Zemayesh. I feel just like the Palestinians, their great-grandfather, they don't know where they're from. Right? So, and he says that he met the young people, they feel like that. Many of them just like, and they said, we finally became natives. Like, mazel tov. But whatever, that's a different tradition. But if you want to become beast, sure. But it's true, but that's, I don't know. It doesn't seem to me that, I mean, like this ideal of making your full society and take responsibility for everything also seems a little meshugaas to me. I don't think that's the correct ideal either. You understand what I'm saying? Like you can't be autarky, you can't have moral autarky. It's not going to work either. Very good. So we're back to this picking our poison of where we want to be meshugaas. Make sense? I was reading this thing yesterday that the Amish, there's like 7 different levels of Amish, and the more from ones are actually more fry. It's very interesting, because it's after the modern ones that have more chimres about driving certain things, not driving cars, certain things, and because amol gezaten in unsere Seite pflegen sich gut. Then a bunch of modern people came and they said, look, we can't do this, this is crazy, everyone has to believe in God, or whatever, and therefore they asked a bunch of things. And now they're struggling more.
Like in our society.
In some sense, yeah. There's a lot of killers from being a Chassid Shid also. It's not only Chimres. People don't realize that. The amount of people think that being black cat is being machmer. It's not really. Right?
It lets you do more things underneath it.
It lets you.
But you gotta look
lets you.
You gotta look
Yeah,
You
exactly. You
can
got to
do a
pay
lot
a
more.
certain thing,
gotta pay
big,
the price.
but that's enough. You have to. By the way, it's also too much. Like a yarmulke is more than enough. Crazy. You have to wear yarmulke and tzitzis and a hat and everything. Like this is just overdone. But you do have to. There's. You understand what I'm saying? Because as long as there's something strong enough, we're the people that don't wear tchailes. It's not a good example in the Jewish context. We're the people that do. You know who are the frimmest people in Yiddishkeit? They do a chusnmol. They don't do it correctly, anyways.
Well, they don't know what you're talking about.
Side, you understand the difference than the kid, right? They do up a shtickle mitzvah dance, okay? Everyone knows what that is. They do up a shtickle pritzes because their Altazaitis did it and they don't know maasas. Oh, it doesn't make sense. I don't know. My Baba did that. I'm going to do it too. And there's people, right? Because they wear the same socks as their Baba, they're also allowed to do the same avirus as their Baba. If you're Oibechochem and you wear different socks, then okay, then you have to do the mitzvahs. Understand? So my point is just that it's not correct that the more things you add, the more separated you become from society. It's not actually true. And in certain ways, by the way, I've noticed there's another drusha, but many of the I'm making choizik of non-Orthodox people, but in certain ways, the Satmar people are the most Americanized people there are around, and non-Orthodox people are the most Yiddish people there are around. Because non-Orthodox shul, in some sense, is just the hemshach of the shul in Europe from 10,000 years ago, however many years ago. And the Chassidish shul is totally American shul. Satmar is probably like the first ones to create actual modern style American shuls in Lakewood. Okay, go to Satmar shul, not in the new one. You'll see that they basically bought modern fixtures like this one for their shul. What's going on with you? No modern Orthodox shul would do that. If they would do that, it would be in like a messed up in a different way. Not in the same way, not with such courage, not like with such familiarity. It's reality. And that is because there's not anything else, because there's other things making them meshugaas. So everyone chooses where to be meshugaas. It's not entirely true that the more frema are less assimilated.
My favorite place
It's just
to see
everyone choosing where to be not assimilated.
this dichotomy used
Know
to
what I'm
live.
saying?
Yeah, this dichotomy used to live in what's that shul by that weird massive intersection that's has 100 streets coming into it. The old shul in Lakewood, the old one. That you see it on full display.
Exactly.
Yeah, like the fixture.
Now there's nobody there anymore.
No, but they modernized like one fixture, and you can feel the dissonance for miles.
Yeah, you could see, right? There's no. Yeah. There's no shul in Lakewood that has like the panels on the wall still from how they used to make shuls in the olden times. Everyone is modern. We have chairs and tables that look like this. So that's the nekida. But kitzer, now Yotzim is that everyone should try to be meshugaas, but not too meshugaas.